Well, hello, everyone. I'm Alvin King, host of He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. It is Friday, February the 9th, and for all of my fashionistas out there, this is the place that you should be. Welcome to our live show. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to He Said, He Said, He Said. Thank you all for being here on this wonderful Friday evening. And if any of you are like me, I know that you are preparing for this weekend because this weekend is the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. It is Super Bowl weekend, and the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers are about to put it down. Last year, I was definitely for Kansas City, and this year, I'm for Kansas City. So I don't know who you all are for, but the game, I think, will be fantastic. And for nothing else, Usher will be on the halftime show this year, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am looking forward to seeing Usher because, first of all, this dude is going to pack 30 years into 14 minutes, for his performance. I'm not really an Usher fan. I didn't grow up with his music, but I just need to give him his praise because he looks wonderful to be doing what he's been doing for 30 years and still looking the way he does. Usher, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Well, last week, ladies and gentlemen, in honor of Black History Month, I promised you that I would find something that happened on the day that we go live. And on this day, February 9th, 1995, Dr. Bernard A. Harris Jr. became the first American astronaut to take a spacewalk to perform an extravehicular activity during the second of his two space shuttle flights. Now, Harris Jr. was the payload commander on STS-63 that ran from February the 2nd to the 11th, 1995, his first flight of a joint space program. But tonight, we want to say on He Said, He Said, He Said, we honor you, Dr. Harris. Thank you for your contribution to everything that you've done for making this a historic day. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, I need to let you all know why we're here tonight. I have been wanting to get someone on the show for Black History Month that I thought inspired me and have truly made my career better by just knowing them, by just seeing them, by just working with them. And tonight we have LA Times bestselling author, TV host, style expert, Lloyd Boston is here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, this is going to be a great show. So look, whatever you got to do right now, go get something to drink, sit down, bring your comments to the comment section, because we're really going to have a great show. And as you know, I cannot have a great show without the two guys that help me do this every week. So let's get on with the chat.
Hello.
Hey. I want to sing a song, but I can't because I'll get in trouble.
Yes, you will.
I'll get in trouble. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. And I love it when we show up and we are color coordinated.
That doesn't happen often, but it's going down tonight. I wonder what that's about.
So happy to be with you guys because a week ago this time I was not in a good place. So I feel so much better, and it's good to be back with you guys. I'm coming to you live from Boston this time.
Wow.
Well, thank you for being here, Bobby. You were truly, truly missed, my brother.
Boss
does it every time. Boss does it, ladies and gentlemen. He does it every time. And you know what? We have our diehards that come on every week and greet us. Dwayne Pureheart, thank you for being here. Herbert Wilson, Thank you for being here. Monica, tell Oscar I say hello. Thank you for being here. And
Hey, everybody.
George Pringle.
Mr. Pringle. Monica.
How you doing?
Look, Pringle, please post a picture because I know you are dressed to the nines to welcome our special guest. Lloyd Boston. I know you are.
You're right.
He slipped a little note to me on our social media saying, I know you're gonna pull out something for Lloyd Boston tonight. He said that. He said that. So you George, I was having a bear moment because I have bears all around my bed tonight, but I was gonna find that one bear sweater to put on because Lloyd is on the show. So you got me on that, George. Thank you. So you guys, what has been going on this week? I mean, crazy.
The world as we know it. The world as we know it.
It has been crazy. So we just got finished, came off of the Grammys, which was a very crazy week.
I just want to take a moment, if you do not mind, because I have many friends in California. You guys know that I've spent a lot of time in California, and they had an incredible storm. Two that actually went through that have caused all kinds of damage. I have a friend who lives on Moore Park by Laurel Canyon, and whenever it really, truly, truly rains, it's just up above the LA River, and we refer to it as River Moore Park. The rains were so bad once when I was visiting her that I actually had to walk up 6 blocks from her place to find someone who was leaving their house to drive me across the water coming down the street to get across. It's like a fjord.
Like a
so she said it was so bad there, and I have friends up in the hills, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to send all kinds of love to everyone that I know all up and down the coast of California who are dealing with the torrential rains and all of the devastation. I love you all. I'm sending you all my best.
Prayers up.
And funny you said that because last week when I was looking at the Grammys, people were coming in saying that. Now I didn't see any of them wet. But people were saying how hard it was raining when they were coming in. So I guess it started there. But yeah, thank you, Vosh. Prayers up to everyone on the West Coast that's dealing with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I know that we had spoken about, I know, Alvin, you were thinking about doing something about Fannie Willis. I know you had mentioned her to us earlier. Were we still going to talk about her?
Well, no. You know what? No, I decided that because things are just doing what they're doing. I thought tonight that we would, stay in the pocket. And I want to talk about, I want to first talk about Jay-Z's acceptance speech at the Grammys. I want to talk about that because there's a lot of chatter out there about, first of all, the fact that he said what he said and the timing behind, him saying, what he said. And And I just think that I want to spend a little bit of time talking about that and share with you all something that is very important to me. I don't think that what he said was solely about Beyonce. It was bigger than his wife, not being honored or receiving Album of the Year, because the last time a Black woman won Album of the Year was 25 years ago, when Lauryn Hill won it for the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And there's only been 12 Black people who have won Album of the Year in the whole history of the Grammys. And before John Baptiste won it in 2022, the last time a Black person won Album of the Year was Herbie Hancock in 2008. So, I mean, for me, I'm looking at all this going, like you said, the metrics. You mean to tell me, and this, only 12 people out of all the years that they've been doing this, it's something wrong, especially with people who have won multiple awards like his wife. So that's just my spiel on it. I think it's bigger. I think that a message needs to be sent to the Academy to start thinking differently, and I think that was his way of bringing that to life.
I do think there's a matrix to it, but I do think that he was also really speaking directly about his wife. Now, remember, he was being honored with the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. So he was being honored. And as he stood there with his daughter, Blue Ivy, by his side, he mentioned, and I have his quote here, think about that. Most Grammys never won Album of the Year. And he was specifically talking about the fact that his wife, our beloved Beyonce, has won more Grammys than anyone. She's won 32 Grammys and never been given the Album of the Year award. He went on to say, some of you may get robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category. And then he said, when I get nervous, I tell the truth. So he was calling him out for sure. And I do agree with you that it is greater than just his wife. But he did get his dig in there about the fact that how is it that my wife has won more Grammys than anyone, 32, and never received Album of the Year.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got to say something about this. First of all, awards, you guys ask why I don't watch award ceremonies. One, it's because they're more political than they are really about awarding people who deserve certain things, first of all. Yep. Second of all, you're going to back, my wife has won more awards than anybody, but she hasn't won that one. So I'm going to stand up here and complain about it. Third thing is that means that she's going to get one next year, whether she deserves it or not. The same way that Angela Bassett got, an Oscar for not getting one the year before. It's like
honorary,
right? She still got one, and it was like, okay, well, you want one here? We're just going to keep handing them out. The last thing I want to say on this is it's something that came up when as I was doing theater. It's like, if you're going to believe the critics when they say something good, you got to believe them when they say something bad. It's like, come on, it's an award. Ain't nobody snubbed when you ain't got, a nomination or you don't get an award. It's like the people, and there's a lot of people who say this is where we want to give it, whatever their inclinations are, you didn't get one. When Harvey Fierstein changed the game by promoting and saying, hey, for your consideration, which is why we see those things everywhere during award ceremonies, it's like everyone's just trying to jockey for position so that they can parlay that into more money. Make good music, make good movies, do a good job, and let that be your reward.
Well, I mean, on that piece, I'm going to go. He said. Okay, and he said. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're here. And what else is happening right now is in the world of comedy, and I don't know, Shay. He is. What's his name? The Shay Show. He is. I mean, he is getting street cred like crazy. I mean, after Cat Williams, and now Monique comes on the show, and I mean, she dropped some bombs. I mean, I haven't seen the whole interview yet. I've only seen pieces, because if you thought Cat Williams' interview was something, Monique's interview is off the chain. And there were a few people that she talked about, of course, Oprah, Tiffany Haddish, what's his name? Tyler Perry. She talked about Al Sharpton. But so that I can let you all get what you need to say in about this, I urge everybody to pull up on social media a piece that she played during the interview, which is a phone conversation with Tyler Perry.
Yep. Oh, she actually pulled up.
I need you to listen to that interview. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at that interview, listen to that conversation. It is explosive.
Oh, wow.
Because they hold Tyler Perry's feet to the fire. They knew they were recording it. So they made sure they got every soundbite they needed so that when she had the opportunity to do what she just did on Club JJ, that their receipts were there. The receipt still warm.
Yeah, the receipts were like, okay. I'm in the shower listening to it, and I'm going, is Tyler Perry really? Does he not know that they're taping this?
At a certain point, when someone says, "So can you repeat that for me?" What did you just say?
Can you repeat that for me
slowly, and into my lapel.
She even went. There's a piece that I'm going to move on, but there's a piece in that during that conversation when she said, "Be quiet. I need to speak with Tyler, because Medea just left."
Oh, wow.
She said it a couple of, like I said, explosive. Listen to it. It is absolutely.
Well, can I ask you this very quickly? Yeah. Do you think that Club Shay Shay runs the risk of becoming just a messy show? Because, I mean, granted, I'm sure he's getting accolades for building his audience, breaking records, and supposedly in both instances, providing information that is rooted in truth with receipts, calling people out and so forth. But does it run the risk of becoming just a messy version of a Jerry Springer or one of the, like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, not until there's a studio audience and he has them all on at the same time and they go to blows. So he has a little bit of way to go for me before he's that. But if he's the place where people get to come and air their laundry and he still keeps a degree of, I don't know, integrity, journalistic integrity, because people aren't going on there and lying. They're going on there with receipts. Right. I think for at least a little while, he has space to be where he is.
Okay.
If I can switch gears and jump to just messiness on television, the Real Housewives of Atlanta are announcing that Kandi Burruss
in messy mode.
Exactly. Let's shift it real quick. Kandi has decided that she does not have time for the messiness that has become the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and says that she's taking a break. Now, originally when this came out, she said that, they didn't tell her what was going on with the filming schedule. And she has so much that she is doing that she was like, I scheduled around it. But it's recently come out that she's like, I need a break. And I don't blame her. That show's become messy. So has Potomac, but we will talk about that next week.
Yeah, that's a whole nother beast. But on that whole Kandi piece, in one interview, she said she's taking a break. In another interview, I heard her say she's leaving.
Oh, wow.
And so, so I've heard both sides of that. But whatever she does, of all the housewives on that show, she's the most well off, if you will. You know, she has.
She's the husband.
She has. Don't do it, Mama. Do it. She has. She. I mean, you know, she's now on Broadway. You know, she got her X-rated. You know, what do you call it? Paraphernalia. She got all that. You know, she got Escape. Kandi will do well. You know what I'm saying?
She's got a restaurant. Everything that you can think of that touches, enhances, does something to a human being, Kandi is involved in it. She ain't got time to sit around and be like messy, like you slept with that person, you slept with that person, you don't call me. She's like, bye, y'all.
She's like,
and
bye.
She's talented.
Well, how about that?
Come on here, Kandi. We want to talk to you.
Well, speaking of talented, ladies and gentlemen, are we... Bobby and Vash, are y'all ready? Because you know, you all are too. But no, we have a special guest tonight, and
a very special guest.
I am just like truly. Sometimes I get nervous even talking about him.
You're verklempt.
Because I admire this guy so much. So can I go ahead and introduce him now and get him?
Let's get him in here.
Yes. Are y'all ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the Oscars and Emmys to the Golden Globes and Grammys, Lloyd Boston remains a red carpet fixture for top-rated shows and networks such as Access Hollywood, Extra, CNN, NBC, and CBS. He is also a best-selling author, boasting 25 years of lifestyle and fashion media. The former VP of art direction for the multi-billion-dollar Tommy Hilfiger brand is the author of 4 highly celebrated, style books: Men of Color, Make Over Your Man, Before You Put That On, and The Style Checklist, which have been featured everywhere from Oprah and The Today Show to countless other national television and digital platforms. If he wasn't busy enough, Boston is also an original host of the Style Network and best known for their highest rated, The Look for Less, and his own series, Style Essentials and Runway. Die-hard fashionistas know that Lloyd Boston, I got for clip. Best from We Network popular fall frontal fashion, making him a leading voice of New York Fashion Week coverage for more than 15 fashion seasons. But tonight he's here with us, ladies and gentlemen. So please welcome to our panel, Lloyd Boston.
Hello, Lloyd. Come on over here. Come on up.
Hey, Lloyd. How you doing?
Intro made me tired. Thank you.
Alvin gives great intros. People often say, dude, follow me around and introduce me when I walk into a room. And I think you should do that.
Hey, when it's the truth, it's the truth. Okay? And that's that. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you. Thank you
for having me. I appreciate it. And Alvin, as we were just talking about, I just, think back to when we met on the Moet and Chandon tour, which had to be what, 2000, 99?
99 or 2000, yes.
Yeah, where they showcased Black designers, emerging Black designers, mostly from New York, but from some other cities. And we took the tour around the country, showing original Black designers and their work. So many of them were there. But I'll never forget, whenever you were involved, those productions were super tight. And it just really shifted what I thought of in terms of event production. Because you were like, what's on his rider? What does he want to drink? What does he want to eat? Who's going to escort him from the car? Who's going to bring him to the green room? Who's going to walk him to the stage? Who's going to mic him? And I had never been taken care of with that level of detail and care. So I thank you again. And that was so many years ago, but I'll never forget that because you really set yourself apart from the other cities who were all great, but Moet should have taken you on and never let you go.
Oh. Thank you, Lloyd. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. Now I'm really verklempt, but thank you so much. I told you I get tonight is the night. Well, Lloyd, look, our viewers, they like knowing something that they may not hear during the interview about our guests. So I'm going to have an icebreaker. So my question for you is, Lloyd, what is your personal guilty pleasure in fashion?
Wow. Personal guilty pleasure. It changes. Lately, it is these kind of vintagey, tree-torn sneakers that are just white on white canvas sneakers. But when I fixate on something, I have to have it all the time. So I need a fresh pair kind of just out the box waiting. They're probably about $70. But I wash them and wear them a few times, but I like to keep a fresh pair out the box and then my old ones for the weekends. But I love these sneakers because they are the anti-sneakerhead sneaker. They kind of speak to, I guess what I think of as old money, people who don't have to show their wealth because they understand that it's not about what you wear, but it's about, health and living quality lives, good food, good travel. And the sneakers are the last thing, and the clothes are the last thing. So as much as I've been in fashion for 30 years, and I'm so honored to be a big part of the industry, I don't really embrace it much when I'm off duty. I had those years. I got a garage full of tuxedos and designer clothes that I wore for years and collected for years. But I'm at a phase now where it's all about a good quality cashmere sweater or a simple cotton t-shirt, my best fitting jeans, and my little white tree-torns.
Wow. So when you have that yard sale, would we get a commission?
Those things don't mean that much to you anymore.
I mean, come on. What size are you?
Absolutely, yes.
I will fly to California. Okay, I will be there in a heartbeat. Okay,
I'm a 42 regular as well.
After a while, when you know how the sausage is made in any industry, regardless of what you do, you don't really worship it in the way that you did when you started, decades prior. You want the best of it. You want to not make it a religion anymore, but it's really more about what you do than who you are. So, of course, I was raised watching Elsa Clench on CNN.
Style with Elsa Clench.
Style with Elsa Clench. And let me tell you, Bobby, I almost had a fanboy moment. I did have a fanboy moment when I, after years of watching her in my dorm room cover fashion houses, intimate interviews with designers, models, runway coverage, to years later having my own mic for NBC or for the Style Network or for Extra Access and standing right next to Elsa, being in line to cover shows with her. Yes. I almost couldn't do the job because once I saw that hard bob and those bangs, I was like, oh my God.
It's Elsa Clench.
It's Elsa Clench. Look, Mom, I made it. So yeah, I once you're on the inside and you really understand how the industry works. You don't need to spend a lot on anything. So it's like a good chef who like just wants a good quality egg salad sandwich after a long night of making Michelin quality food. Like he or she really just wants simplicity and quality.
Just to get on with it. Well, you mentioned something just now where I'm going to take you back. We're going to talk about when you were in college. Now, I've read that your entry into the world of fashion and the history of Black male style began when you were a sophomore at Morehouse College, and Tommy Hilfiger made a campus appearance. How did that connection lead into your journey of becoming VP of the multi-billion-dollar Tommy Hilfiger brand?
Yeah, that's an almost true story. Most of that is true.
That's why they come here, to get the truth.
Yes.
Right. No, I went to Morehouse College and was so thrilled to be there at that time. You know, it was probably, I think it was our fall semester was right after School Days had premiered. And, you know, A Different World was on, and it was just a hot time to be on that campus, you know, literally where both of those shows were shot, the exteriors of A Different World and all of School Days. So, you know, you couldn't tell me nothing. I knew I was in the place to be, but I wasn't studying as much as now that I'm older, I should have been. I was spending more time at Lenox Mall shopping and getting those, you know, credit cards that they give students, you know, with a 35% interest rate or whatever. But, you know, in one of those times, Tommy Hilfiger was making an appearance at the department store, which was called Rich's, which was kind of like a higher end Macy's, like a Bloomingdale's. And me and my best friend went because they were giving away free duffel bags for the first 100 students who were to meet Tommy Hilfiger. Mm-hmm. And he had these signature duffel bags. Of course, we were broke. And when we got there, we got in line, maybe people 50 and 51, like halfway down the line. And they were doing what's called a trunk show. Many of you may be familiar with. It's like an informal fashion show with among the guests. And I'm looking at the clothes and I'm like, you know, some good stuff, some stuff. And by the time I got to the table for my autographed duffel bag, I had some feedback for Tommy Hilfiger on his clothes. And the woman who was standing next to him, his handler looked shocked, like she had seen a ghost. But Tommy was really open to the feedback about the clothes, and he offered me an internship on the spot. And I had never knew, I was studying graphic design at the time. I didn't know that graphic designers worked in fashion. And, you know, being from New Jersey, I could get to New York quickly. So I literally went back to my dorm and was like, Mom, I got to get the hell out of Atlanta and get back close to New York real fast. So I transferred out of Morehouse, and Tommy took me under his wing as his first ever intern. I didn't know at the time that I was his first intern, but the label was relatively new. And I stayed with him for about a semester. And he said, when you get out of college, come back, you'll have a job. I wasn't sure if he was really telling the truth, but he was. I went back about a semester before graduation, and he said, I can't give you a job when you graduate because I need you right now. We're growing so quickly. You can finish up school at night. So I started working for him in the middle of my senior year. And I stayed for many years, leaving as the VP of Art Direction. I was there for probably about 15 years in total. I stayed on as a consultant. And he's still, you know, somebody who is like an industry dad, someone who guides me and mentors me to this day. So we've had some great times together. And I'm so fortunate that he took me under his wing. He paid for the rest of my college and just allowed me to learn from a master around design and marketing and pulling together a global brand. So yeah, big relationship.
Wow. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. No matter what you read, you heard it on He Said.
That's right.
From the man himself. Before we go, let me say hello to a couple of people. Aral Health, thank you for being here. Rodney E., I love Lloyd too. Michelle Bowie, good to see you again, my sister Blue. Carol, Gary, thank you. Sean, thank you for being here. Rodney Bryant, Samuel Omar, Amer, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of just still getting real and true stories, your very first book came or you started writing it while you were at Tommy Hilfiger. Is that correct? Men of Color?
Yeah, nights and weekends. It was my kind of pet project and dream. Yeah.
Wow. So what was it about the time that you spent at Hilfiger that inspired you to become an author and to write that book?
This was around the time my first book came out in 98. So I started developing it around 96, 97. And if you remember, there was a big boom of Black books, whether it was Terry McMillan or big, beautiful coffee table books. Remember the one called I Dream a World?
Yeah.
With that gorgeous cover in black and white. And, it was almost like publishers realized that Black folks love to read too. And it was, authors just, booming into a space that we knew we loved, but big time publishers, I guess, got the memo that we were a huge buying audience. So a mentor of mine over the years was Elin Harris. He was like a big brother to me. We shared mutual friends in the fashion industry. One model in particular named Ella Smith, who's passed away, was a big Black model at the time. And he introduced me to Elin. So I had these authors kind of around me. I had friends at Essence Magazine, and I used to collect these images, kind of Black memorabilia images of well-dressed Black men and Black people from, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And I would keep an inspiration wall, and it made me realize that, oh my gosh, like there's so many of our stories that have not been told around how we have changed and shaped global style. So that's how it came to be, because I realized as I would get frustrated in looking at magazines like GQ and Esquire, and I would rarely see our stories celebrated, it just hit me that I have to be the one to tell this story. I can't sit around complaining about what they're not doing, because they may not ever get that memo, but I have what it takes to create this story as an art director. I wasn't a writer at the time. I didn't study literature, but I figured out how to tell this story visually first, and then put words to it. And I was able to sell it to a publisher, and it made the LA Times bestseller list. And Quincy Jones wrote the foreword to the book, as well as a slew of other celebrities sat for original photos, interviews, and really it created this movement, this celebration around what all of us know to be something that has always set us apart, our style as men of color. It's a survival skill for us. They're not just clothes. It's the one thing that we fully own and control about how the world can see us, will see us. And it ultimately inspired the globe to mimic how we put clothing and accessories together.
If there's any producers out there, particularly African-American male producers producing shows, and if you don't have that book, see that book right over there? Can you see that? It's an autographed copy from when Lloyd wrote the book, but it is available at Amazon. Get the book. Every person should have this book. If you're in fashion production or love fashion, you should have that book. Okay, I'm sorry, Bobby. I didn't mean to infringe on your time.
No, you speak truth, because I'm going to take just a quick moment, because, again, I'm coming to you guys from Boston. We have Lloyd Boston on, and it is ironic that I first met Lloyd Boston in 1999 in Boston. I think we have a mutual friend, B. Maynard Scarborough, who hosted a book signing. Here is the card from that event.
Wow.
It was hosted by Michelle Clemens, B. Maynard Scarborough, and I tried as hard as I could to find the picture that I took with you. I could not find it, because I remember you brought, I think his name is Ronald White. Is it a model you had?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It was a day, but
wow, that just blew my hat off. I thank you for that throwback. B. Maynard threw an amazing event for me in Boston. It was so nice to meet so many men and women of color in Boston. Yes, Ronald White, who was the first Black male model on the cover of GQ, who recently just turned 80, who looks amazing.
Looks amazing.
But it was so cool. The project became bigger than me. And this was the book that I always wanted to read. And to be able to pass it down, it was just turned 25 this past October. But to go to these different cities and have people like B. Maynard and Alvin and other well-dressed men of style embrace the movement of it all was just, more than my 28-year-old self could handle,
Well, it was a joy and a pleasure to meet you there. Now, I know your television career started with The View as a style expert, and it catapulted you to other shows like E! News and Rachel Ray and so forth. And you mentioned earlier in our interview this evening that sometimes once you know how the sausage is made, it makes you feel differently. Can you share with us what were the highs and lows of getting into the television aspect of your career?
Wow. I mean, I have to say, I never thought I would be on TV. It was never a part of the plan. So, I'm a VP at Tommy Hilfiger at the time that Men of Color comes out. Tommy, I told about the book the moment I started shopping this book proposal, because I didn't want him to hear on the street that I was moonlighting working on a book.
Right.
Because as a company exec and someone who he kind of handpicked and groomed up the ladder, I owed it to him to be transparent about what I was doing. And he not only approved me working on this book at night and on the weekends, he also sponsored the book. Wow. And he was interviewed and photographed for the book because he also respects and values the contributions that real men of color, not just celebrities, but just everyday men of color, whether getting dressed for Saturday night or Sunday morning in church, have done to influence global style, as well as his own brand and style. Tommy was always very inclusive around diverse runways and diverse photo shoots, long before it was fashionable, long before execs like me were in his ear. He is one of, I could think, 9 brothers and sisters from a working class family. His friends look like his ads, all different backgrounds. So when he heard about the book, he got behind the book takes off. And then all of a sudden these TV shows are inviting me to promote the book, as the publisher will, pitch it to TV shows. Usually you get local shows, but at that point, being in New York, I was getting national shows because they were all there.
Right.
So I'm like, promoting the book. Okay, sure. Great. I thought it was over with. And then the shows kept inviting me back saying, hey, can you talk about what women should wear for spring, or what men should wear for fall, or can you do a makeover for us? And I'm like, sure. I do this for a living. Of course, I can tell you the trends and what we saw on the runways. Red carpets really weren't a big thing yet. So I had a choice to make. I was like, oh my gosh, something is really opening up here where these national TV outlets want a conduit to the industry. Almost like a sportscaster, but for fashion. They want experts. They want people who can translate the trends on the runways. And it was just fun. And it was fun to nail those segments in short amounts of time. It turned into me also doing tabletop segments, like I said, makeovers. And then, shows came calling like Oprah and the Style Network. And then I had a choice to make. I was like, look, Tommy, I love what I do here, but this new avenue is opening up and it's fun. I think I have to go to grow. And the only way he let me go is if I stayed on as a consultant, which I did, which was great because then I could still pay the bills because TV doesn't always pay a lot of money.
Exactly.
So I stayed on as a consultant for the brand, and it was great. And we've worked together off and on ever since. And that's how the whole TV thing started, as a result of the first book.
Excellent.
Well, Lloyd, while we're here, can you define your styling philosophy?
For me, it's simple. Probably 80% classic, 20% trend. And I feel like the most stylish people around the globe understand that ratio in their closet, where they're not chasing trendy silhouettes and styles and fabrics. They're also not chasing status names necessarily, maybe from a quality standpoint, but I think the most stylish people usually don't want you to know who they're wearing because it's about fit and tailoring and construction and fabric, how it feels on them, who they want to be that day. And so much of that comes in a classic wheelhouse for me. I can't oftentimes get people to do that because trends are the flashy, the shiny object that people chase. But I have always found that the most stylish men and women understand that if I buy this amazing cashmere sweater, it's going to last me for decades, because I can wear it now or 20 years from now because it's a classic shape without a lot of bells and whistles. So that's always been my philosophy, the 80-20 rule.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just to add to that, I remember just after graduating high school, reading in Cosmopolitan that the goal is to be the fabulous person. It was, Cosmopolitan, so they said women, to be the fabulous person in the clothing rather than the person in the fabulous clothing. And that I share with as many people as I can, because that is the true definition of a stylish person versus a fashionable person.
You're spot on. You're spot on. It still holds true, And the same thing works with other genres. When you think about makeup, you want to see a beautiful woman. You don't want to see beautiful makeup.
Yeah.
When you go to a restaurant, you want to taste delicious food, versus a bunch of gimmicks.
Yeah.
Sometimes just a simple, simply grilled fish with salt, pepper, and lemon is so much better than 8 million things thrown on top of it, capers and onions and carrots and blah, blah, blah. And it's like you get to really appreciate the essence of what you're witnessing or seeing or tasting. Simple is the hardest thing to do. It's easy to jump things up. I tell women all the time when I'm dressing them, like, don't be afraid of the negative space. They get excited for these big events, and all of a sudden it's more rings and more bracelets and more earrings and bigger hair and bigger clothes. And it's like, you just look like, what's her name from The Wiz? Miss One. Because I think a lot of it, women just get nervous. They start putting on little emotional touches, and then it's just too much.
Yeah.
And then that one woman walks in with just a simple red lip, a crisp white shirt, a black cigarette pant, and she looks better than everybody in the room because her skin shows. She just got a great kind of a global minimalist take on style, and she just gets all the attention versus the woman who's wearing the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, but my producer is in my ear saying, you guys, we need to make sure that we get through this interview because we have 5 more questions for Lloyd. So I just need to put that out there. So we need to keep on rolling with it because we're going to get all these questions in for Lloyd.
We're going to get them all in.
We're going to get them all in. We're going to get them all in.
All right. Okay.
Well, Lloyd, jumping back to like your time in television, how did you come about being labeled a style maker by Oprah, and how did that impact your life and career?
In those, what was she on the air? 25 seasons. I had maybe 1, 2, 3 appearances over those years. And that first appearance was the hardest. That's when she had that yellow sofa that Tom Cruise jumped up and down on.
Yes.
And every author, any author, wanted to be on the show with your book, but it was like literally Fort Knox. When I finally got the call, I will say that it was almost hard. It was almost hard for me to speak on that stage. It was such the holy grail. And then after that first appearance, I kept being invited back for different shows and ultimately got my own hour with her talking style. And I think that was the episode where she calls me the style maker. Which was a blessing because I think she really realized that I had put in those 10,000 hours, as Malcolm Gladwell calls them, to really know that style is something that you study, if you love it, whether it's fashion journalist, fashion designer, there's so many functions in that industry, but I had done the work to really understand the bones of the industry. And from there, I got my own show on the Fine Living Network and HGTV. Bigger shows started calling, got another book deal after that. So that Oprah effect is real. And I had a development deal with the OWN network, which kind of went a little sideways because if you see now what it is now versus what it was then,
yes.
I was really more a part of the old style of the old OWN network. I'm not a housewife, house husband kind of person. Like I'm more of a fashion teacher. But when I say that she put her arms around me in a way that changed my career and life, it was a real blessing, and it still remains so.
That's wonderful. This is Black History Month, as we well know, and the theme for this year is African Americans and the arts. What is the influence of Black people on the art of none other than fashion?
Oh my gosh. Well, I know we got to get through these questions fast. That's a loaded one. I will say this. We still remain unsung. We, as African-American people, for hundreds of years, have influenced the core of what people know to be fashionable around the globe. And, you know, my book in particular, Men of Color, takes you from slavery to hip hop. But it talks about, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that we Black people use fashion and style, two different things, as a survival skill, as a way to identify ourselves in a room which oftentimes wants to identify us for us. But when it comes down to the fashion industry, you know, when you think about designers like Willie Smith or Patrick Kelly or Ann Lowe, you know, when you think about more contemporary designers, I mean, the list goes on and on. Yes. The machine behind the fashion business is something that most people don't think of. And it's about having the capital to create collections that outlive you. You know, when you think of someone like Donna Karan, who sold her business for over $600 million and is no longer a part of it, but the collection still continues. Mm-hmm. We oftentimes haven't had that kind of support. Hopefully that will change in the future when you look at young designers like Telfar Clemens or you know, any of the names that we know as household names now, because they have the backing. And that is my wish, to continue to get the business backing behind some of these creative names who continue to shape the global look and feel of style.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lloyd, I want to go here. I know that you have worked very closely with Wendy Williams. You started the Style Squad with her, with you know, Bev Smith and what's it, Robert Verdi.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me or tell us, you know, are you still in touch with Wendy and how she's doing?
Yeah, you know, I haven't spoken to her in many years. I do keep tabs like everybody else does, and I wish her the best of health. I know a documentary is coming out soon, which kind of gives us a glimpse into her world. But yeah, I was on her show for 13 seasons as a regular style expert on the daytime show. And then we had the spinoff version, which was a 1-hour version on BET, which was a lot of fun. But again, she put her arms around me in a way that made me really know that I had put in the work, because she always claimed that she trusted me implicitly when it came down to fashion and style. Big honor for me. What people don't realize, most people don't realize about Wendy Williams, is that hour that we would enjoy her was only 1 hour of her day. Mm-hmm. And she made it look effortless. As you guys know, when you're working as a trio here, keeping people's attention with your, you know, knowledge and background and questions and jokes, you know, she was doing that as one person. Mm-hmm. You know, that first 20 minutes, those hot topics, you know, it takes 5 women on The View to do that and keep that audience, you know, compelled. So, you know, to know that she was exhausted at the end of that, I'm not surprised. You know, endorsement deals, stand-up gigs, husband, kids, family, yada, yada. So if anything, I know she needs a break. And what I will say about what I know about Wendy Williams is that it ain't over. And we haven't seen the last of her. So I'm hoping that this is just a break for her to pivot in a way that is new and fresh after the rest that she so deserves.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, Lloyd, well, we're at the end of our interview, so I'm going to go ahead and ask you this last question because, ladies and gentlemen, Lloyd is here to give us his critique on the Grammy red carpet.
Putting his glasses on, he's getting ready.
Okay, he is going to give us our critique. But Lloyd, before you go, just share with us, if you can, you know, what's on the horizon for Lloyd Boston? What's next?
Some exciting things. Just some top line stuff. I was asked to partner with the White House on some strategic initiatives, which was a real dream come true. Yeah, so I got a chance to have a day's worth of meetings and briefings around strategy, as well as an amazing tour of the White House with some of the leadership team. And that'll kind of roll out as the year goes on. It's something I never thought I'd be asked to do, but it's an honor. I am also in the process of developing my first collection of women's wear, which, if everything goes right, will launch this fall. And I'll come back to you guys with where to find it. But we're working out some of the kinks now, as well as doing some of the research around these easy pieces that I feel every woman should own. And I'm also, living here in Hollywood, leaning into the scripted lane. So I'm developing a project along with a production company behind American Idol and behind America's Got Talent, but on the scripted side, with some stories that have a fashionable edge. So I'll tell you more about that as they come to fruition.
Lovely.
Well, thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, sit back because you're in for a treat, because in our segment called The Art of It, Lloyd is going to talk about 11 of the hundreds of fashions that hit the red carpet at the Grammys, ladies and gentlemen. So if we can start, let's go with our first image, Chloe Bailey.
Yeah. I have to say, when I saw her walk down the red carpet, it felt like she felt uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if you saw the footage, but you could even see from that, kind of forced posture, shoulders back, chest up, that she's going for a level of sexy that I don't think she has arrived at yet. Mm-hmm. It feels a little put on. This designer, Gupta Couture, is known for embellished clothes that really bring out the sexy. I'm getting little throwbacks of Toni Braxton here. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a young woman who looks to be dressing like a woman who has seen more of the world. This feels like she's holding her stomach in and possibly ready to get out of that dress.
She's also hiding her fin.
All I can say, I agree across the board. I totally agree. Our next look, Doja Cat.
I had to study the screen. I kept rewinding to see if I was seeing what I thought I was seeing.
What are you saying?
No, is it called areola? I don't know what
it's called trauma.
Yeah,
we're ready to kick in with you, Lord. We're ready.
I applaud her bravery. I wouldn't know her on the street because every time I see her, she looks a little different. And I do love a woman who likes to take risks, but I feel like there should be a little bit of a tasteful edge there where there's a little bit more mystery. This is almost a full-on nip slip, double nip slip. And I'm also seeing, beyond the tattoos, a little bit more of the crotch area than I think is savory for a family viewing audience.
Yeah.
She like a true fashion journalist. Savory.
She wasn't a high hit on my list. But this next image is someone who's been killing it with her stylist. So Fantasia.
I would agree. That color purple press junket. I've never seen her look better, or that entire cast.
I agree.
Again, that Oprah effect. You know what I mean? Like when you get in bed with that team, they're not messing around, and if you're going to be flanking Oprah on any red carpet or any stage, press-wise, you have to look commensurate with the queen. And I think Fantasia has kept that going. Love this fun kind of Betty Boop, Marcel wave. The lip jewelry is a little edgy for me, but hey, she's a young woman who wants to show a little edge. But I love the way she's a curvy woman who is honoring her curves in a way that feels tasteful and sophisticated. And when you look at this designer, Kong Tri, you're seeing craftsmanship that really honors curves versus tries to hide them.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen.
And I totally agree with the lip jewelry. It kind of, in photographs, it almost looks like she has a cigarette in her mouth.
Yeah, I don't. And she looked like she couldn't pose and have fun. She kind of had that kind of,
Angelina Jolie, I gotta hold my leg out so you see it.
Yeah.
Now, someone who didn't consult her sister or talk with her before she left the house, I think, is our next image, Halle Bailey. Okay.
And they're going in separate directions here. I said years ago that she had a Disney princess face. I think I need to just scroll back and find that tape.
Find it.
Maybe, I said it years ago. And I think she's, I think once you get into that Disney machine, if you want to continue to stay in it, things need to stay sophisticated. Yeah, be a little sexy here or there, but she's got the memo, and I think she's a few months off of having a baby.
I was going to say new mother.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's wearing Gucci here, but I love this. I love this gown because I feel like it's just enough sexy and just enough sophisticated.
Yeah. Yes, and it says, "I am a mother and I'm classy no matter what." And this next image, this person dropped the mic completely.
My favorite of the night.
I would have to agree, and I love the fact that she's, not in this particular moment, but she's branched out of the black and white that she wore for so many years to brand herself. She's offering more kind of traditional femininity, sexy sophistication, and she's having more fun. She was very serious. I interviewed her several times over the years on the red carpet, and it was always like this kind of black college speech. And I'm like, girl, loosen up. Like, we're out here having fun. And she always had this kind of big delivery to give. And I'm like, we're just at the BET Awards, right? This is not, you're not the March on Washington. Like, so she's finally loosened up a little bit. And I like that, because she's a beautiful woman with a beautiful voice. She sings, she dances, she acts, she's one of those quadruple threats. And in Armani Privé, she is like a dream for any brand to jump into. They're smart, just like Ralph Lauren has with her.
Amen.
This outfit completely like when I saw that, all of my chakras aligned, the world was beautiful, and I loved her for that.
Yeah, it was great.
Take it away, John Legend.
Keeping up with the pace. I mean, like we talked about earlier, menswear. Maybe we talked about this before we were on camera, but
you did. No, you mentioned it.
Menswear has done a big shift. Men are embracing a more avant-garde look, a little bit more androgynous. Regardless of how they identify, I love the fact that men are taking these risks. John Legend, I think this looks sophisticated and cool, but I don't know if it's more Lenny Kravitz than John Legend. John Legend's more of a boy next door, but I like that he's taking risks. What do you guys think? Is he pulling off?
I thought he pulled this off.
I'm glad you said, I was like, he's trying to dress like Lenny Kravitz.
See, I don't think that.
Much coverage.
I disagree. I disagree. But yeah,
that's why it's called what show? He said, right?
But I
agree with you, Alvin. I think he completely pulls this off, and I think John Legend has a very nice body, and he's proportionate. I think it doesn't overwhelm him. It's a dramatic look without overwhelming him. It does give you the deep V and so forth, and this is way too much coverage for Lenny Kravitz.
But he was one of the only men, John Legend, who kind of came in and gave some style. Our next John, I'm on the fence with this one.
Yeah, this gave me a little bit of a modern Tin Man, and I feel like I would have worked with the tailoring a bit more.
Yes.
I see what they were going for here. This is Versace again, but it feels a little boxy, and it's almost like three too many ideas in one. I don't need the skirt and the pant, or I think, if you look at the way that pant is tailored, it shouldn't really pull at the bottom, maybe a little bit less of a break. Like, I would have really gotten in there and nipped and tucked in a way where he felt more comfortable. This feels a little stiff and rigid, a little robotic.
I do like the Tin Man. I do like the Tin Man effect on that. Thank you, Lloyd.
If those pants
that was a good critique.
If those pants were more like a pencil fit, do you think it might be a bit stronger?
Exactly. We're saying the same thing. Yeah, it should just be a knife sharp crease. No break at the bottom. Yeah, but he's also trying to find his way. He's got that kind of Black Panther kind of lock style going now. Like, he's trying to find it. He'll get there.
This outfit needs to be edited. RuPaul's Drag Race and too much Project Runway to see something like this and not think you need to edit.
If there was an edit, the edit button should be right on this outfit, right?
Fashion edit.
Totally edit.
3-in-1. Yeah, Coco Chanel said it. Decades ago. Take one thing off before you leave the house.
One of them could be a pocket.
Well, speaking of taking something off, He said that he said, well, as a commentator I know said, protecting the property without obstructing the view.
Come on now.
This is just perfection. He may be AI at this point. He's knocking on Dixie's door, which is incredible. He's got the body of a Ken doll. And, I interviewed Lenny several times over the years. He's included in Men of Color because I knew 25 years ago that he would be an icon we should continue to watch. So he's featured in that book. But I interviewed him when he was just around 50 with that same six-pack. And I said, what is the secret? And he's like, it's genetic. I'm like, that ain't genetic. I'm thinking to myself, you got that organic farm in Brazil. You got cooks. Like, that's discipline and that's dedication. And he can, like Maurice is saying here, he can do no wrong. He is my spirit animal. He is my North Star.
I'm telling you, I saw that, and I felt that I felt the same way when I saw this as I did when I saw Janelle Monáe. I was like, they are for me tonight. That's it.
Yeah.
That and Tracy Chapman singing. I was like, I'm done. I'm good.
Well, we have 3 more looks that we need to get through right now. And our next look, she blew me away on many levels Sunday night.
Simply put, I'm getting, kind of a throwback to Jane Fonda, Barbarella.
Absolutely.
And I'm loving, this Maison Margiela artful creation. It's more of an art piece than it is a dress. And I love her for taking risks and chances. I loved it.
It's made out of safety pins.
Yeah.
It was like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert meets. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's art. It's all safety pins.
Amazing.
And she had on the right shoe.
And she's done some work on those legs. Her legs look good. When she was performing and so forth, she's toned. She looks good.
Yeah.
It needed different hair.
But it was that Barbarella look. I agree. Like,
Vash. Me and you are not usually over here, but yeah, that hair was on point. Oh, I'm sorry. I got lost in her hair. And our next person, our next person
behind her
is Summer Walker.
Gorgeous.
I'm getting a Hello Dolly moment here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's way too costumey, Bob Mackie-ish for such a young woman. Like I said earlier, women get too excited. There's too many voices in their ears, too many stylists, and too much of a team. And this feels, all that marabou just feels a little Fraggle Rock, and it feels like it's wearing her.
Yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't want to be sitting behind her at that performance.
No, it's rude. It's rude,
And there were worse. And last but not least, this was my ultimate favorite, honestly, of the night. As you talked about simplicity.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was until that night, but I loved how this tone was her nude. So many women of color can't find their nude because it's not, it's not a neutral that most designers focus on. This disappears on her skin like it's just a layer of sheer moisture, and I think it's beautiful. Versace nailed it.
And she's family.
Wow.
She's family. She's in the LGBTQI community, so I love her even more for showing up in this way.
Wow. And her daughter won a Grammy that night also.
Because she's on the song, right?
Her daughter is on the song, and she's only 3 years old. She won't have anything to do with the paparazzis, but both of them were dressed in Versace, and it was an amazing moment. Well, Lloyd, thank you so much for your fashion critiques, my brother. This is the cherry on top of the cake. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you can just click, you can go ahead and send claps in the comments section. But Lloyd, I want to thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate you being here, and there's no other place I want to be. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm now adding to my resume. I did some fashion critiquing with Lloyd Boston.
Hey! No, I thank you all. I feel right at home, and I love what you're doing. Keep it up, and I really appreciate you inviting me on. Thank you all.
Well, I'm going to be in touch with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, next week, Friday the 16th, we have an evening with actor, singer, and writer Roderick D. Davis, who will be here, ladies and gentlemen. And you don't want to miss it. And for our words of the week, I want to highlight a woman by the name of Edith Claire Head, an American costume designer who won a record 8 Academy Awards for Best Costume Design between 1949 in 1973, making Edith the most awarded woman in the Academy's history. She's considered to be one of the greatest and most influential costume designers in film history. And her quote, our quote tonight, is from Edith. You can have anything you want in life if you dress for it.
Come on, Edith.
Okay, and those are the words from Edith, ladies and gentlemen. And one last thing before I go, I want to dedicate our show tonight. My uncle David, who passed away on Martin Luther King's birthday, January the 15th. We are having a memorial tomorrow for him, and it's been a really tough 3 weeks dealing with everything. But I want to, this show tonight is in David Harris Senior's honor, ladies and gentlemen. So we will look forward to seeing you guys next week on a new episode of He Said.
He said.
He said.
He said. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Everybody for joining
Thank
us.
you, Lloyd.
Thank you, guys.